Alright, what's up everyone? Tom back here for another final update. My incoming stack was getting exponentially larger, so I figured I'd come on, say hello, show some records, been a while. Hope everyone is having a good summer slash fall, I guess autumn, wherever you are. But without further ado, let's just get into it. This first one isn't new, but it was just in here. Terry Plumeri's Ongoing. Just a great record. Fantastic late 70s, great composer, great players on this as well. There's some players, like I said, it wasn't supposed to be in here, but there's something else listening to. Check it out. On to the real stuff. Huge want. I finally got to tick off the list. Jazz Meets India by the, I'm gonna butcher this, the Dewan Muthier Trio, featuring the Irene Schweitzer Trio and also Manfred Schoof and Barney Willen guest. So fantastic record in the Jazz Meets whatever series. This is Jazz Meets India on the Sabah label out of Germany. But fantastic sort of, I guess, Indian classical meets free jazz, meets Western free jazz. Yeah, I guess that's what you describe it. This might be a very early example of that, actually. Combination of free jazz, Indian classical, and rhythms. Yeah, as a whole album, maybe at least. But fantastic stuff. Definitely highly recommended if you can get it. Kind of hard to get, like I said, on the Sabah label. At least kind of hard to get over here in the US for a decent price. So, very happy I was finally able to get this. Yeah, definitely, like I said, highly recommend streaming it or grabbing it if you can. I know it's been reissued, I believe, a few times, but I'm pretty sure you're able to stream it. So just check it out, really good. And right along with that, I picked up a Don Cherry I was actually missing, unfortunately. So, Symphony for Improvisers. This is the last Blue Note Don Cherry I needed to complete the trio. This is from 1967. This is an original stereo. Got it for cheap because the label has some writing on it and just a bit of fading, but who cares? It was described as like a VG, but it was definitely a nicer shape than that. Definitely a solid VG plus on this. Just really happy to have this. Classic Blue Note Don Cherry crew. We got Don Cherry on cornet, Gato Barbieri on sax, Farrow on sax, Carl Berger on vibes and piano, Henry Grimes on bass, Jenny J.F. Clark on bass, and Ed Blackwell on drums. So, as you can see, great lineup. Yeah, Don Cherry on Blue Note. Do I need to say more? If you don't know it, definitely go listen to it if you're into free jazz, experimental jazz, avant-garde jazz, any type of jazz. Maybe not any type of jazz, but if you're into straight ahead jazz, you probably won't like this. But Don Cherry, fantastic staple in the free jazz world. Glad to knock that. I think I only need like 3 more to complete my Don Cherry collection, 3 or 4. And one of them is Orient, one of them is It Is Revealed, which that'll be super hard to get. And 1 or 2 more. I can't think of it at the moment, but those are the big ones I need. Orient is definitely the one. It Is Revealed, I heard, sounds like shit, and it's just super hard to get, so I probably won't even try to go for that one. But next up, Stephen Halpern, Here to Eternity. This is really cool. This was released in '79 on cassette only. This is an '85 final issue on Gramavision. Bam. Stephen Halpern, if you don't know, it's like a new age electronic sort of artist, I guess best way to describe him. This is spacey, sort of Middle Eastern world music, droney at times, although droney more like a tribal sound than straight up noise. Very good though. Highly recommend any of his stuff. It's all relatively cheap and pretty accessible, so in my opinion, at least. Very cool, very spiritual, meditative sort of music. Highly recommend checking out his stuff. Next up here, a few funk pieces I picked up. Oh, pull that 45 out. First up here, we got Exit 9, Straight Up. This is, sorry about the glare, it's got, well, I don't think it's gonna matter because of shrink on it anyway, but I gotta take this shrink off, it's kind of nasty. But Straight Up, Exit 9, fantastic jazz group, or funk group I should say, out of New Jersey on the BRC label, which is just a sub-label of Brunswick, so it's not Brunswick. Yeah, just a one-off. They only did this one record and then pieced out, but fantastic jazz funk out of, like I said, Jersey. Highly recommend this if you're into any sort of funky music at all. And along with that, I picked up a 45. I usually don't collect the format just because I don't really care for it. But if there's stuff I want like this was really cool. This is like a called Rhapsody is the artist. The 2 tracks on here are Sunset Beach and You Never Know. It's a local jazz, jazz funk, I guess more funk soul vibe. Yeah, fronted by Nick Fradiani, I believe is. Yeah, he had a few incarnations of the group, one with male vocals, one with female vocals. The B-side, You Never Know, is definitely the standout on this for me. Fantastic. It's got female vocals from Asa Harris. I think that's how it's pronounced. Yeah, they also released an album in the same year, 1980, but it wasn't fantastic. In my opinion, the single is the way to go if you can find it. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to find, so that's why I picked it up when I saw it. And the tracks are fantastic. This local New Haven soul funk, very, very good. Moving on to some Indian classical world music stuff. First up here we got Ravi Shankar and what's the other guy's name? Ala Raka. I always mess it up, so Ala Raka. Ala Raka is a very well-known tabla player in the Indian classical world. Unfortunately, he died in 2000 after finding out that his daughter passed away the night before, so really crazy sort of turn of events there, but that's how it started. He's also the father of Zakir Hussain, who I believe is on a record on the show later. He's a modern-day tabla player and just a great musician in his own right. Yeah, very, very cool. Highly recommend any Ravi Shankar if you're into Indian music, but everyone probably knows his name as he's kind of a staple. This is early Ravi Shankar. This is like early 60s, so very, very good. Next up here, another Ala Raka record. This time he's with Ashish Khan. This is the California concert, and as the name suggests, it's just a live show they did together, but fantastic. Yeah, Ala Raka always toured mainly with Ravi Shankar, but sometimes took time off to do his own stuff, like on here. Very, very cool. Like I said, I don't know too much about Ashish Khan, so I can't really speak on him. I know he's the oldest son of Ali Akbar Khan, who's a fantastic Sarod player, a Sarod virtuoso. But really, really cool. Definitely worth picking this up. It shouldn't be too expensive. The California concert by Ashish Khan and Ala Raka. I believe both of those records were on World Pacific, by the way. It is on World Pacific, and so was the Ravi Shankar. A bunch of great Indian classical on World Pacific, and could be had for usually relatively cheap. The last Indian classical music record, which I almost dropped here, which is Vasant Ray, Autumn Song from 1978 on the Vanguard label. He is also a master Sarod player, fantastic Sarod. Unfortunately, he passed away in 1985, I want to say in the mid-80s. He was in his early 40s, so gone way too soon. And he did a lot. He did quite a bit. He moved to New York when he was still young and played a lot with Colin Walcott, Oregon, those guys. Colin Walcott produced this album, actually, I believe. He also played with Carlos Santana, John McLaughlin. He played with Herbie Mann at the Village Gate in the 80s, which is really cool. He taught like John Coltrane, Don Cherry himself, George Harrison, taught all those guys while living in New York. So really, really cool. Very accomplished musician and teacher. Yeah, did quite a bit in his short life, but fantastic. Definitely check out his stuff as well if you can find it. Vasant Ray, R-A-I. Moving on to one of the Grail pieces I picked up, wanting this for a long time. I bought it for myself, sort of a birthday gift to myself. Yeah, so this is the New Jazz Orchestra with a name I'm not even going to try to say. There it goes. I'm not even going to try to butcher that. But this is late 60s, big band, kind of UK jazz. So I guess it's like UK jazz meets Gil Evans compositions. Not really free, more adventurous, especially for that time period. 5 original tracks. 2 of the tracks are standards, and one they actually do a great killer version of Naima on here, Coltrane's Naima, fantastic version of that. And then they also have a last track is like a composition from a Polish composer, Polish-French pianist who's not really that well known, Alexander Tansman, which is a fantastic track as well. But yeah, kind of a who's who of the British jazz scene on here at the time. Directed by Neil Ardley, kind of conducted, directed the whole thing, but they do Dusk Fire by Michael Garrick as well, forgot to mention that. But so you got people like Harry Beckett, Ian Carr, Michael Gibbs, Derek Wadsworth, what else was on there? Dick Hexall Smith, Jack Bruce, like I said, directed by Neil Ardley, so fantastic. This is the debut. They only had 2 records, so, or I'm sorry, this is the second, not the debut, this is their second and final record, so. New Jazz Orchestra, a name which I cannot pronounce. Sorry about the glare, I'm not going to try to. So there you go, but kind of a well-known cover painting on this as well, so. This is on Verve. I don't think I mentioned that. It's on Verve from '69, so. You know, the first record was from '65. They released kind of those 2, and then everyone went their own directions, did their own thing, which is understandable because the huge names on here, so they all wanted to branch out and create. So makes sense to me why they didn't continue it. But next up here, a reggae record. Still slowly kind of worming my way into reggae. Picked up this Jackie Matu record. Great dub reggae. He's a keys and organ player. Don't know too much about him other than that. This was on the Third World label in the mid 80s. I'm sorry, late 70s, not mid 80s, late 70s. Third World. Just great jazz, dub jazz. I'm not really into jazz with vocals, I noticed. Not really my thing. I kind of more prefer instrumental jazz. So, and I love keys, I love organs. So this was a great pickup right here. Jackie Matu with In Cold Blood is the name. I don't think I even said the name of it. Jackie Matu, In Cold Blood. Cool reggae piece there from one of my local shops. As well as these next ones I picked up locally as well. So I never had this record, never had any Philip Catherine, just digitally, so I finally picked up September Man. This is the German pressing, I think. It's on Atlantic. Just fantastic jazz fusion. If you don't know this record, definitely check out Philip Catherine. His first record, debut, and this are both fantastic. His first one is really, really hard to find. This one's definitely more accessible. Just great jazz fusion with some post-bop moments. Great drumming, great improvisational work. Killer lineup on here too. Philip Catherine, Jasper Van Hoff, Charlie Mariano, John Lee, Gary Brown. Produced by Mark Mulan. So definitely check this out. Philip Catherine. Highly recommend that one if you're into jazz fusion at all. Or just jazz funk. Good jazz. Next up here, another huge one. I was finally able to cross off the list. Thank you to Chris. You probably won't see this, but he hooked it up with the Michael Naura, Vanessa, an ECM that's been in my want list forever. This is an ECM, although to me it doesn't have that traditional ECM sound. I think people would agree on that. This is kind of a darker, funky fusion mixed with free jazz, I guess is the best way to describe it. But Michael Naura's debut album, I still need to pick up Rainbow Runner, get around and pick up. So it kind of has some wear there, some laminate peeling off, but who cares? Just happy to get this. Got it for a decent price, so definitely check out Michael Naura, Vanessa. Like I said, not the usual ECM sound that you might think of, so if you haven't heard of it, highly recommend you check that out. Very happy to knock that off the list. And at that same time, also picked up these two. This is Frank Tussa, Father Time. This is on Enya Records. Cool German release. A nice mix of sort of like world fusion, post-bop, I would say. Frank Tussa, Dave Liebman, Dad Roy, who adds some nice Eastern vibes on. What he's playing here? I know he plays the tabla, but he's played the sitar. I think it's just the tabla. Anyway, great stuff. Great free jazz, German jazz. I guess not really free jazz. I would say more post-bop, kind of world fusion stuff, but still fantastic. They definitely get out there a bit, but I wouldn't call it straight up free jazz for sure. Definitely recommend checking that one out as well. Frank Tussa, Father Time. I think he's known for playing with Dave Liebman on the Lookout Farm record. I believe most of these guys were on there, if not all of them. So highly recommend this as well. Next up here, a local Connecticut jazz record, the Joe Fonda Ensemble. This was a radio station copy, as you can tell, kind of writing all over it, but still very good. Sort of free jazz, modal jazz. Like I said, just local one I didn't have. This is on the Alcara label. Yeah, Alacra, Alcara label. Very cool. It's the lineup, just great. A great free jazz, modal jazz piece. And it's usually, I think you'd probably find it for like maybe 10, 15 bucks. Shouldn't be too expensive, maybe 20 at most. Like I said, this is just a kind of beater copy until I find a nicer one, but just cool to have. I picked up any jazz that I don't have from Connecticut, for the most part. Let's see. This is what's playing in the background, if you can hear it. A group called Head. The album is called Blackpool Cool. These guys are a Glasgow jazz rock group, sorry. I guess widely kind of compared with Nucleus, like a Scottish Nucleus, for lack of a better description, because they are very Nucleus-ish, definitely have that jazz rock sort of sound. You can hear it in the background. This is their last album. They only released 3 from 1977 on their own label, Head Records. But yeah, I recommend checking out all of their records. One's more funky, one's more jazz rocky, one's got a nice mix of both, the one in the middle. So this is the only one I have. They're kind of hard to find in the US, unfortunately. There's a bunch of copies of this one on Discogs. They're not really cheap, but still, definitely check it out. I know the whole thing is on YouTube for you to check out as well. Head is the name of the group, Blackpool Cool. Very cool, sort of, like I said, very Nucleus, heavy sound, jazz rock, Scottish jazz rock. Really cool to pick this up, as they're pretty scarce in the States, especially the first 2 records. Another Grail sort of piece that I've been wanting for a long time. Very happy to pick this up finally. Let me just get it out of the sleeve. So this is the IP Sun group. It's a self-titled IP Sun. This is a Italian, sorry, these guys are from Italy. An Italian group doing a nice mix of, like, let's say, world music, free jazz, spiritual jazz, African percussion, and Eastern flavors kind of thrown in there. So kind of bit of everything, but I love it. I love this their style of playing. These guys were a one and done, just did the one and then that's it. Went off to do other stuff, I guess. I'm not sure if they've been doing anything else as individual group members, but this record kills. This is fantastic. Highly recommend this. Like I said, Italian group doing kind of free jazz, spiritual jazz, world music, with African percussion and some Eastern vibes going on in there too, for sure. Maybe a bit of psych rock, prog rock in there, little times, but it's kind of classified under that at times, although it's more of like a world music record, I guess, with jazz leanings. This has been reissued. Very hard to find an original in the US. Luckily, I was able to grab this one. There's a bunch of copies, but of course they're all in Italy, which I definitely don't trust Italian shipping. So sorry, there's just too many issues, especially now, the pandemic's still going on. No way. But IP Sun Group, I said it's been reissued, so check it out. I love it. Fantastic. Right here, 18 minutes. I'll just show a few more here and we'll finish it up. Show these last 2. So Opa, or Appa, not sure how it's pronounced, but Golden Wings. This is a Latin jazz fusion group. This is from '76 on Milestone. Originally, these guys were known as Low Shakers. They were in another band. They're brothers. They were in another band known as Low Shakers with other musicians. They released 4 records, I believe, in the '60s, from like '65 to '69. But that was heavily garage rock, psych leaning, especially in the last record. Yeah, pretty well known and successful in South America and especially Argentina. Kind of regarded, I guess, as one of the psychedelic pioneers down there. Like I said, especially with their last record being considered somewhat of a classic from what I understand. But this is the debut with a new lineup. Dropped some members from the previous group and then picked up some more. This is produced by Aerto, who also plays on here, plays congas, percussion. Hermeto Pascal plays flutes. But very cool. This is a Gold Stamp promo. Like I said, Latin jazz, very funky. Some samba kind of grooves in there at times, but mostly funky. very funky Latin jazz, so very, very cool. Happy to get that. And then the last one here, which I just got the other day, so I don't have too much to say about it, but I haven't listened to it yet. But I already know the album. It's the Reform Art Unit featuring Ravi Shankar, Darjeeling, 1970. So they're a Vienna, an Austrian free jazz ensemble, this way to describe it. And this particular record features sitar from Ravi Shankar. This is their first record and their best in my opinion. Also the hardest to find, unfortunately, although a copy popped up on eBay and Chris was cool enough to hit me to it. Chris Cole, John Coltrane 69, thank you for the heads up. Got this for a great price actually, considering what it usually goes for. So yeah, that'll be it. It's about 20 minutes, so I feel like it's already probably too long. You guys are bored to death, but I feel like I got through most of that stuff. Still have some more to show, but I'll save that for the next video. Once again, hope everyone is doing well. Yeah, let me know what's going on. I hope you guys finding some good stuff as well, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.